Honestly, I can still remember my hands trembling, my arms burning as I'm about halfway up this rock wall. I'm at camp, all the guys in my huddle are at the bottom watching, and I'm quickly coming to the realization I'm not making it to the top of this wall. And that's the first time I asked myself the question, am I strong enough? And so like any prideful man, I did what any of you would have done. I faked an injury right there on that wall. As the counselor at the bottom belayed me, it was a woman, by the way, so I also had to just throw a little, I think I pulled something into it. But after I got back to the bottom and the embarrassment kind of went away a little bit, the question still lingered. Am I strong enough? Will I be strong enough? And that question is carried over into every aspect of my life, whether it be in athletics, professionally, relationally, emotionally. Do I have what it takes? I want to show you guys a little bit of a clip that's going to illustrate the 3 points I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about having strength to sustain, strength to offer, and uncovering that you are stronger than you believe. So the first thing I want to talk about is having strength to sustain. So strength is defined as your capacity for exertion. If you need me to break it down, simply, it's what you've got to give. What you have to expend in any pursuit, any effort, anything you're trying to attain, that is what you need your strength for. And so in a business perspective, it may be this. You may have started or inherited a business, and it's now failing. Or you started and inherited a business, and it's grown to a capacity where you don't know if you're the right person to lead it anymore. If you're in sales, month after month, you may be crushing your quota. And now they're applying pressure, and there's an expectation set that you don't know if you can meet. Or month after month, you're missing your quota. And now there's a pressure and an expectation that you don't know you can meet. As a leader, you may be the person everyone depends on, and you don't know if you can shoulder the burden they're constantly putting on your shoulders. Or you're a leader, but in title only, and people don't think you're dependable. And I said those situations because in and of themselves, they're neither good nor bad, because burden is going to come to you no matter what. In good and bad situations, in trial or triumph, you will have to find strength to shoulder your burden. But don't mistake this. When I tell you you'll have strength to sustain, I'm not saying you won't get tired. I'm not saying you won't grow weary. I'm not saying there will be days where it's tough, but you'll find a way to endure. I like the way Rudyard Kipling says it in this poem. He says, if you can meet with success and failure and treat those two imposters just the same. If you can meet with success and failure and treat those two imposters just the same, because you need to continually show up every day and be the same person. You have to continually be consistent. You have to continually be able to show up when things aren't going well or when things are going better than you expected. Do you have the strength to sustain? I'm going to give you 3 principles that go into this. The first is knowing why you do it. And I'm going to alert you now, this next line is a quotable. You can attach it to me. If you don't care for what you're carrying, you can't carry it for very long. If you don't care for what you're carrying, you can't carry it very long. There are some burdens we've placed on ourselves that we can't sustain because we don't care about them. We don't care about the outcome. We don't care about the meaning. We don't care for it. I'm a pretty strong guy, so if any of you came up and you wanted a piggyback ride from me, I can do that for a little while. But I don't care about that burden. But if you go ask my brother in the Air Force, when his comrade has fallen, can he give that man a ride back to safety? I guarantee you he can carry that burden a little longer than I might carry you because he cares about it. So as you're looking for strength to sustain, know why you're doing it. Know who you're doing it for. Is it a dream or desire you have to see coming to fruition? Is it a person, is it a family member that you're doing this to support? Why is it that you do what you do? If you know why you do what you do, nothing can stop you. If you don't know why you do what you do, nothing can help you. If you know why you're doing what you're doing, nothing can stop you. But if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, nothing can help you. The next is you must take on the proper attitude and perspective. Because as these different circumstances come into your life, you have to realize them and size them up for what they are. So the attitude you need to take on is one of constant humility and hopefulness. Humility is in that of not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Realizing that though you're a main character, you're not the only character. That the burden doesn't go completely on your shoulders, but there's other people intertwined in what's going on. And hopefulness is that belief that tomorrow can and will get better. It's when you're getting knocked down continually, when you're hitting those hard snags, when life isn't going exactly how you want it to go. You have to believe that tomorrow can be better than today. That you can get a little bit stronger tomorrow, that you can grow your skill set, that your business can come back, that there's people you can still impact. You have to know. Because it's not all about you, and that things can get better tomorrow. A constant attitude of humility and hopefulness. And the last thing in this, you must prepare yourself now. Prepare yourself now. So if any of you are athletes, I'm sure, middle school, high school, professional, whatever you were, when I say the words off season, that probably leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Off season, because the drill like he did, the death crawl, that's probably something you would have done in off season. That's typically the season where you run the most, you lift the heaviest weights, you're doing the hardest drills, that coaches put you in situations you're unlikely to ever experience in an actual game. And so for me as an athlete, I wish Coach Newman was here because I would have told him, if you just take me past off season, put me in the season, you put me in the postseason, I'm ready for that part. I can get up in the morning ready to play in a championship game. I'm excited about that, but off season, I'm trying to bail out. But it wasn't until I grew and I matured that I finally understood the purpose of off season. Because pressure applied by choice is called training. Pressure applied by chance is called a trial. Pressure applied by choice is called training, while pressure applied by chance is called a trial, or bad luck, terrible circumstances. Oh man, I wish that wouldn't have happened to me. So as you're getting ready to sustain the burden that's coming to your life, you got to already be prepared for it. You got to be willing to have those tough conversations with employees before you have to have those tough conversations with employees. You have to be willing to go get the studying and the education and the tools you need to continually grow yourself and to grow your business before you have to have those things done. If you've ever noticed with boxers, sometimes they stop matches. Why? Because if you're in the corner and you're seeing what their trainers are doing, you know, they're generously like focusing on their eyes, making sure the swelling doesn't go out, they're fixing any cuts, because they know if you're unprepared to take the next hit, not only might it knock you out, but it could be fatal. When you're not prepared to take the blows that life is going to give you, it's going to knock you out. But if you're ready, that's why if their eyes are open, if the cuts aren't bleeding, if a boxer's ready, they can dodge a couple punches, they can take a couple because they're prepared for those. It's the ones they don't see coming that knock them out. So as you're preparing to sustain, remember those three things. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Take on that proper attitude of humility and hopefulness and prepare yourself now. Strength to offer. And this may come as a foreign concept to some of you for the reason is strength may only have been used on you when it was trying to make you do something you didn't want to do or put you in a situation you didn't want to be in. When strength was actually created to support and to uplift others. That's the purpose of it. That's why we're given the strength we're given to offer it to other people. It's not for our own personal gain. And so the thing is, we all have someone we uniquely can offer our strength to. Because of who you are, because of what you do, because of what you look like, because of where you were raised, because of what you're passionate about. There's strength you have to offer to someone that no one else can give. For me personally, I start thinking back to my 4th grade teacher, Miss Mills, who told me I was one of the smartest and brightest students she ever met, who constantly gave me challenges and coursework that a normal 4th grader wouldn't do. And that's why I believe I graduated cum laude a couple years ago. Or I think back to my 6th grade basketball coach who selected me as the only 6th grader to play in 7th and 8th grade because he said he saw an ability in me that I didn't see in myself. And that instilled in me a confidence to play on the court with anybody as I played AAU against some now professional NBA players, as I played in the collegiate ranks. I got that confidence back in 6th grade because a coach was willing to offer his strength to me. Or it could be that 9th grade communications teacher who saw this tall, lanky kid who had kind of a gift for words, who put me in a place where I could develop myself and taught me about poetry and the magic of using words to impact and influence others. And that's the reason I'm standing on this stage today, because a woman back in 9th grade was willing to offer strength to me. As I look at my role now as a marketing professional for Citizens Bank, I think back to a guy who was willing to have breakfast with me and talk to me about who I could be as a professional, who was willing to invest his time into me as a business person to say, I see you accomplishing great things here. Who, before I graduated, he handed me this pad folio with a letter in it that says, whether you leave Fort Smith or not, congratulations, because you're going on to do great things. It's people like that offering their strength. So who is that person for you? Who is that person you can be offering your strength to? And who are those people who have taken the time to invest in you? And I'm sure if you start to think, it won't be too hard to find the few. Now I want to tell you a story about a boy. So there was a boy who was leaving school one day, and he saw one of his classmates up ahead fall down and drop all his stuff. So he ran over to him, and he helped him pick all his stuff up. And I mean, he had a ton of stuff. He had his backpack, he had his jacket, he had all his books, he had a baseball bat, he had a tape recorder, he had all these things. And so he helps him pick it up, and he says, hey, we're walking the same way. Why don't I help you carry this stuff? And so as they're walking, they're joking like young boys do, just having fun, enjoying the day. They get to the kid's house, and he helps them carry his stuff in. And the kid says, hey, do you want to come in, hang out for a while? He's like, sure, why not? So they stayed there, spent the rest of the day together, bonded, formed a great friendship. You fast forward a couple years, they're signing yearbooks. And he's like, hey, man, do you remember that day where, you helped me carry that stuff, we became friends? He's like, yeah, man. He says, did you ever stop to wonder why I was carrying so much stuff that day? He said, I was actually planning on committing suicide when I got home. And what I did was I was clearing out my locker because I didn't want to leave a burden behind for anybody else. Because I thought there was really nothing else I had going on for me. But when you stopped to help me that day, when you stopped to help me carry my things, you showed me that someone cared. And we had such a good day that day, I realized if I would end my life, I wouldn't get to have other days like this. And that's a pretty deep story, but the thing is, we come into contact with people every day who are carrying a burden. Because I know as a man, I know each and every one of you walked in here with something on your hearts. I don't know whether it be your health, your family's health, whether things aren't going well professionally, whether there's a relational problem somewhere. But all of us walk in here with a burden, but some of us don't have anywhere to put it. Some of us can't carry it alone. Some of us are beginning to collapse under that weight. And the thing is, somebody has strength to offer you. And you in turn have that same strength to offer others. And if you know me at all, I sing a lot. And so it always takes me back to that one song. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. And that's so true. Because people have strength to offer us, as well as our strength needs to be offered to others. And so what does this look like for you? It may be starting that business that finally puts somebody back to work. It may be taking the time to become a mentor to someone and showing them what their reality could be if they're willing to invest in themselves. It could be starting that nonprofit where you serve an underprivileged area. It could be anything. It could be that encouraging word. You could take on a coaching position where you just simply push people to become the best version of themselves. You have the opportunity to offer your strength to others. If you see this picture up here, this was taken a couple of years ago when I was in South Africa serving on a mission trip. And so what happened was we went to this all-boys school. And after we were just hanging out for a while, and it was one of the breaks in between classes, and so rugby is huge in South Africa. And so these kids that went out and they're like, hold on right here, we're gonna be right back. So they ran out, grabbed this guy, and they're like, hey, this is the strongest guy on our rugby team, and we want him to arm wrestle you. So they push all of this, and everybody, and if you look at this, look how obsessed a young man is with strength. Spoiler alert, I destroyed this kid. Like, I beat him so easily. It wasn't even funny. It was just like, stumped him. But the story gets better, and then after I beat him, I got to tell him about the strength of the impact he could have with his life and how that could far exceed anything he ever believed was possible. How he can use his position on that rugby team to offer his strength to other kids because they looked up to him. And you can tell that by how tuned in they are in that picture, how locked in, how focused they are on strength. And so somebody's looking at you that way. Somebody's focused in on the strength you bring to the table. And now you can leverage that to offer it to them. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is being stronger than you believe. As Dr. Jarnigan kind of said, my personal mission statement for myself is to use my God-given gifts of encouragement and creativity to empower people to change the world. If I state that in another way, it's saying proving to you that you are stronger than you believe to impact your family, impact your community, impact your city, impact your country, impact your world. So every time I can connect with one person, and if I can sell you on the one thing is that you are stronger than what you currently think you are and that you can do more than you believe you think you can, I'm fulfilling my mission. Because I'm at my best when I see men getting better. I'm glad John made that mention to the circus earlier, so we're all in that state of mind. So I always thought about the circus and I wondered, how do they manage to keep such big animals chained down with relatively little tools? So I don't know if you guys have ever looked into how they train these animals, but for instance, the elephant. They go through this process called elephant crushing. And that is, when that elephant is younger, they drive a stake into the ground, they either put a chain on it or a rope on it, and they let the elephant just exhaust itself, just push itself to its limits, where it finally comes to the realization that we're not breaking out of this chain, we're not breaking through this rope, we're not breaking this limitation. And as the old adage says, an elephant never forgets. So as that elephant grows, as it becomes stronger, as it becomes more powerful, its mind still wanders back to that same small limitation it had when it was a small baby, immature elephant. And it never even tries to break through that limitation. And I don't know who put that limitation on you. It may have been someone told you because of who your parents were, you could never achieve this certain dream, or because your parents weren't there, you couldn't achieve a certain dream. Someone may tell you you're not smart enough to go back and get your college education. Someone might have told you that you're not the person to start that business, but maybe you can work at it. I don't know who came and put that limitation on you that still weighs on you today, but I came to tell you that you were stronger than you were when they put that on you. That there's more within you. That there's a greater strength inside of you that can break free of that limitation if you just knew how strong you actually were. And I'm pretty glad these elephants don't know, because if they knew the concept of this chain can't actually hold me back anymore, no one would be safe in those circuses. But us as men, this is a great thing, because I came now with this message to be your liberation. To tell you that you are free to do greater things than you currently are accepting. That there are things you can do with your business, with your life, with your relationships that can change the world. That there is more inside of you. And that's why I'm fired up about this message. That's why I can't let you leave here without believing that, because unless I do that, I failed. When we talk about you leaving transformed, unless you leave this place knowing that you are more than you think you are, that there's more inside of you, that there's a reservoir of strength you're not even tapping into yet, there's abilities and gifts inside of you that you aren't even thinking about yet, then I've missed the boat. We've missed the point with this whole conference. But you are stronger than you believe. And you can find out through this method. So my friend Colton Clark, who gladly is here today, I call him Swolton Clark, because he actually used to take me to the gym and train me. One day after we were working out, he said, we're going to work on some negatives. If you've ever been to the gym, negatives are generally when a guy like this throws more weight on the bar than he could ever lift by himself. And as the bar is dropping, you're just pushing with all your might, you're just pushing, because you're trying to break through two barriers. You're trying to break through a physical barrier. You're trying to continually break down that muscle and get it used to a weight that you couldn't bear by yourself. And you're breaking through that mental barrier. I'm actually a little bit stronger than I thought I was. I held that up a little bit longer than I thought I could. And Colton explained to me how this worked. He said it's just the principle of time under tension. Time under tension, that's how muscles are built, and that's how you can build every single other aspect of your life, including the mental. So you have to put yourself under tension, whether that be listening to diverse speakers, bringing in content, information that stretches you, whether it be reading a book that's a little harder to comprehend because it challenges your mind, whether it's joining a club or a group of people, individuals that think vastly different from you, because it puts you under tension. Time under tension. That's why no great ship captain is made on calm seas. If it's not for the trial and the tribulation, you never actually gain that strength. So it's that time under tension. That's why your faith has to be tested. That's why your mind has to be tested. That's why your muscles have to be tested in order for them to grow. And the thing is, you don't have to do it alone. That's what I like about this picture is, as Colton would throw on, 445 places that I could never do myself, he was right there spotting me. You don't have to do the burden all by yourself. You have to surround yourself with like-minded people, people who believe that you can do far more than you're currently capable of. People who see you for what you could be and not for what you are. It's when you surround yourself with people like that that you continually find yourself growing stronger day in and day out. It's when I find people like T. Ray or Dr. Jarnigan, Bill Hanna or Chris Welk. It's when I find people like that who are willing to make me stronger as a man, and I can push them as well. And so now, in conclusion, I just have one plea for you. I want you to believe that you are stronger than you're currently accepting. If you're just willing to test that one idea out, this one concept, push yourself just a little bit harder, I think you'll find that at the end of it, you'll be at the goal line too. My name is Chukwukere Ekeh. Thank you for your time and for your attention.